What's up, everyone? I'm uThermal, and this is going to be my third series announcement of the week. You probably guessed it. After doing a Terran and Zerg XOGM series, we're now going to do a Protoss one. I asked you guys to let me know if you wanted one, and I think the response was clear enough. So today, I don't actually know what the name of this series is going to be yet. I haven't thought of something catchy, so if you guys know, please let me know. But I'm going to be doing no warp gate to Grandmaster. And this is a strategy that I've been very interested in for a long time. I'm going to tell you guys about a really good patch idea that I had as well, that I've had for a long time, but has never been implemented. But I'm going to be trying to see if you can pretty much play Protoss like they do in Brood War, where you just have like a bunch of gateways building zealots and stalkers without doing all the warp gate shenanigans. I think there's going to be a lot of cool builds that we're going to be able to do as well. Let's begin. Our first game is going to be against a Diamond Protoss. Now, my account is still a barcode. I actually forgot to name change it, so I guess I'll try to think of something catchy before the next game. But let me just start off by telling you guys about the patch idea that I had. If you guys don't know, the community is in a little bit of distress about Protoss right now. A lot of people think Protoss is too weak, and everyone has different opinions and whatever. And what I think Protoss always missed, and this is kind of disregarding balance a little bit, but something that Protoss always missed is a little more ability to express your skill. I guess like Protoss is very often known as like the cheesy race or the A-move race, which by the way, I don't think is true at all. Protoss definitely needs more micro than Zerg, I can tell you guys that much. But the idea that I had for a patch was that very specifically, gateways start building units faster than warp gates after you get the warp gate research. I'm not quite sure if I've talked about this before, but I think this is very cool. So it's very important that it is after the warp gate research, because if you do it before, all that does is just make proxies very strong. Like Terrans and Protoss players are going to be tortured by proxy gates. Probably not Zerg, to be honest. I don't think there's really that many amazing proxy strategies against Zerg, but Terrans and Protoss definitely would. But I feel like it adds a really cool layer of skill. Wait, why is there no gateway here? I feel like I'm being cheesed by so. Yeah, I am actually being cheesed. All right, let's see if I can wall this off real fast. Keep in mind, I'm not allowed to make warp gate here, so that's going to be pretty funny to defend. But I feel like it could add a lot of skill expression in a way that if you're good enough to do the macro and to, I would say, survive a lot of different attacks without needing warp gate to warp in units at a certain time, you can just be better than the other Protoss players, right? And then there is like another level of skill where you could even have a certain amount of gateways as warp gates and the others not. So you, oh, my game just all tapped for some reason, sorry for that. Where, you know, you can have a couple of gateways building units faster, but then you also have enough warp gates to use them for the defense if you would need them. For some reason, I kept thinking this leg of the Nexus was a probe, so I kept trying to select it here. And now, one thing that I was going to say that could actually make for a really cool build with... Oh, I do need the battery as well. That could make for a really cool build if you're playing without warp gate, is that you can make way less gas and expand way faster. I think there's probably some potential here for a really cool strategy that might even be adopted on the higher levels, because it sounds like a really good idea to me. Now, I'm already going to get 2 adepts out here. I hope this guy is going to make stalkers, because otherwise he's going to be in a very big amount of trouble, and that is even an understatement here. Now, I am going to check consistently if I didn't, accidentally start my warp gate. I guess it's not a big deal if I do start it, but the thing is, it morphs your warp gates automatically now, right? So if you do have warp gate, that's just going to annoy me for the rest of the game pretty much. Now here you can see how good adepts are against zealots. This is not usually a strategy that is that great against Protoss. I do have to admit here, guys, if you're a fan of this kind of build, I really think my opponent messed it up a little bit, because this is supposed to hit way faster. Like, not when my adepts are already out. I want to guess that it... Wait, doesn't actually... Am I crazy, or does it look like a probe? Every time I look quickly, I want to select that probe to go back to the Nexus, but then there's nothing there. This one is actually blocking my Nexus, so let's cancel that really fast. But a build I had in mind, and this is also another goal of this challenge. I don't just want to see if you can play Protoss like they do in Brood War, or play Protoss like, you play Terran or whatever you want to call it. I also want to see if I can make an actual viable build without warp gate that you can do on the highest levels in Grandmaster, because I just think it would be such an awesome addition to the game. And you guys know me, I don't really like playing this game in the normal way for the most part, right? So I would love it if I could figure something like that out, use it in a tournament, and see how it would go. Now you can see that this Zealot is not dying because of the battery. My opponent does not have a single probe left anymore. Well, I think he has one probe left, but this is probably going to be a little bit of a crushing defeat. I can even heal that. Okay, this is actually very painful. I can even heal the freaking gateway, and there we go. We didn't lose something? No, oh no, I canceled something. Okay, there you go, guys. A perfect game. I didn't lose a single unit in the first game of no warp gate to Gridmaster, which is awesome. Now, I do just very quickly want to check. I don't really want to make this like a long replay analysis. This obviously wasn't the most interesting game ever. But yeah, it definitely feels like my opponent's way too late here. This was a 17 pylon. Well, normally I think you'd probably do this at like, I don't know, 14 or something. You just make 4 gateways. But that was game number 1. It was more an introduction than anything else. Let's go to game number 2. Game number 2 is going to be against another diamond. Well, that's not... Yeah, for some reason it looked like a Masters border to me for a second, but it is another diamond Protoss. That would have been very fast to be in Master League already. Now, I'm going to start trying to perfect the build already, and this is obviously when I ask you guys for your suggestions as well, because a lot of times you guys have really good ideas that I like to implement. So, you know, please give them all to me. Like, what do you want to see in this challenge? What kind of builds do you want to see? Now, the first idea, I think, I'm not quite sure if I mentioned it in the last game or not, but it's just that I want to take my first gas really late, and I think I don't even really need a second gas for a long time. It kind of depends on what units I build, because if I... So, just to be clear, there's no unit limitations here, so if I wanted to make a Stargate and stuff, I could. Obviously, I want to make my strategy centered around making units from the gateway, right? But I suppose that... Yeah, if I wanted to make an Oracle, we could. So if we do that, then I would need my gas a little faster. But first, I really want to try experimenting with just making a lot of early units from faster gateways because of the money I save from the early gas and the warp gate. Because I think it's a really completely different way to play Protoss, right? Like, you just don't really play like this. And I think just having like a lot of units out early with a decently optimized build could probably make for a lot of easy wins. Now in PvP, that's going to be a little different because everyone plays with, you know, as you can see, a lot of extra gateways early on. So I don't think that's necessarily going to make a big difference here. I do wonder if skipping the gas and getting more minerals early on could help me get like a battery out without it being too risky. So, for example, sometimes some things that you want to be scared of is like, dude, there's a hotkey that I keep pressing that all taps me. I really need to figure out what that one is because that's a little bit annoying. But normally it's very tight to squeeze in a battery against the Oracle. Like, it's pretty, you know, you don't usually want to spend that amount of money that early on. But if I play like this, I totally could. Like right now, okay, this is going to be an interesting experiment actually. So my opponent is clearly going to do something very cheesy here. And I'm actually going to try to expand and still try to defend it. Oh, this is going to be very exciting. I'm not quite sure what I should be making from these gates. He's setting out a bunch of probes. Not quite sure what I should be making from these. I guess technically I should make a couple of stalkers first and then eventually maybe I could even make like zealots and stuff. Like, I don't know. Gonna add a third gateway now and then I'll add the battery. Okay, this is actually getting a little annoying. Sorry for that, guys. It's really funny that a lot of things that happen in the game, they don't bother me at all. Wait, he's not even making something. I mean, he's 100% proxying something. A lot of the things in the game don't bother me at all, but me just pressing one key on the keyboard and it all tabbing me, that's getting a little bit frustrating. I'll promise to figure it out after this game. I mean, I say that, but I also forgot to freaking change my name, so I think I'll probably forget about that as well. I guess we'll see. Now I'm gonna maybe make a zealot here. I feel like getting the zealot it's a little weird, but it's also a pretty cool idea, right? Still only have one gas. Oh, he's proxying right here. Oh no, why did you proxy it right in my face, my friend? I'm chrono boosting everything I can. I haven't even made warp gate, obviously, and I'm just sending everything from these couple gateways that I have, and I'm gonna be able to kill that. I also saw a probe coming back to his base. I really hope that was not his only probe that he has near, because otherwise this is going to be a little painful. Guess I'll put one probe in the little choke over here, just in case he sends a couple of depths into my base. But if you look at like my money and the amount of units I have, this feels like an incredibly safe build. Keep in mind, I have a freaking expansion, right? Like, this is not like I'm just... you know, yeah, pretty much just all-inning defensively. Like, it feels like it because I have so many units, but at the same time, my opponent is going to be way behind in economy. And I actually really like this already. This looks like a very promising build. Like, I know we got a little bit lucky with the positioning of that proxy, but if you ask me, even if that you know, proxy would have gone up, I really feel like I would have had more than enough units to defend it, just chrono boosting like crazy from these, you know, double Nexi on these triple gateways. I'm not quite sure about the Zealots, though. Like, the Zealots, they're going to be a little weird because you can't really micro them, which means that in a Stalker battle, they're not going to be super efficient, and especially not going to be super efficient against batteries, right? And let's see what we can find here. So making a battery now, I might be able to kill one Stalker before that finishes, exactly. So that one Stalker goes down. Zealots are going to be really good at killing buildings really fast. And look at this. Man, this actually feels pretty crazy, you know? This really gives me Brute War vibes, like I was saying in the intro, because I have so many freaking units without really, you know, building Warp Gate and doing a completely different build than normal. My opponent has a Stargate as well. I'm going to be able to take that down. I even have enough money to go for a third base behind this as well. And the only thing I'm really scared of here is a freaking... freaking DTs, which my opponent's clearly not gonna have here, right? He's gonna lose every single probe. He's gonna try to kill every single probe I have with his one Oracle. I can tell you, he's probably gonna kill a bunch, but he's not gonna kill all of them. And good luck has been called. Well, thanks, I suppose. And wait! Oh my goodness, guys, we played another perfect game. Guys, it's proof, right? The strategy has been proven. Not making Warp Gate is better than making Warp Gate. This is the first time this has ever happened to me in StarCraft history, I think. And I've been playing for, how long is it? 13 and a half years or so. And I played 2 perfect games in a row with 0 units lost. And this really doesn't seem like the kind of game where you wouldn't lose a unit, right? Like making Zealot Stalker. But all right, so far, very, very promising. We're only like 10 minutes in and we already got 2 dubs. Let's just keep it going. All right, game number 3 is going to be against a random player. I was going to say Terran because of the portrait. You guys know me. I always fall for that, but it is a random player. And I decided to just name change to Brute War. It's a very simple name. I think it's very fitting as well. I feel like if I would go to the extreme with this challenge, I would only make freaking Brute War units. I guess for the first episode, maybe we can do that because the thing is... what units would I build that are not Brute War units? Probably Adepts and Sentries, I suppose. High Templars, Dark Templars both existed, of course. And, you know, some of the higher tech units didn't exist, right? Like Oracles, Disruptors, Immortals, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much all of them, actually. Wait, is there a freaking... Besides the carrier, right? Is there like a late game unit or like a tech unit that freaking existed in Brute War? Actually pretty crazy to think about, right? Like you had the Observer, but then you have the Warp Prism, Immortal, Colossus, Disruptor, Void Ray, Phoenix. None of those actually existed. So, okay, that's pretty crazy. I didn't even realize that many units were new. Obviously, it makes sense, right? But I just have never thought of it before. I was just about to take my gas automatically, but then I realized I don't have to. Last game, I think the gas was maybe slightly too late, if anything. I feel like it was either perfectly timed or slightly too late, and I took it at, you know, when this probe finished, so now I'm going to take it halfway. Oh, well, yeah, now it's almost finished anyway. It's still going to be a little bit faster, of course, but the next time I'll just try it with the previous probe and see how that feels. Oh, and our opponent is going to be Zerg. All right. Now, how am I going to do this against Zerg? I feel like against Zerg, normally I would want to make Adepts, but I'm kind of in the mood to just go for the Brute War style this game and just make like Zealots and Stalkers and what else? Observers, I suppose. Dark Templars, High Templars. That's pretty much it, I believe, and Carriers. But I don't think I'm gonna get to the Carrier part. I wonder if there is truly a build that you can make against Zerg. Like last game, I freaking loved it, okay? That strategy looked pretty awesome against Protoss, but against Protoss, you're just very often in a situation where you want that many units early. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna like it that much against Zerg. Like, I guess besides making a lot of Adepts early, I'm not quite sure what I would want. Now here you can already see the difference. With me not making a lot of gas, I can get this gateway super fast. I guess I could technically make another gateway as well. You know what I'm thinking, guys? What I'm thinking is I should go for a Twilight Council. But I'm actually going to do something really weird and just Chrono Boost. I was actually just about to start Warp Gate. Chrono Boost to Stalk. Oh, my goodness. Okay, I think it's not an app that's doing the alt-tabbing. I think it's just a hotkey problem that I have. Or maybe with a new Windows installation or something. Because I'm not even really... Wait, do I maybe just have the Windows key enabled? I do have a new keyboard. It could be that since I'm playing on a new account, I have the Windows key enabled. I thought it was an app. But maybe I'm just really stupid and oh my god, that's a lot of Zerglings. Okay, that's actually kind of terrifying. I was just about to alt tab too, or like to go into the menu to check that. So okay, I think he probably could have fought that. I think he's just scared of what's coming out of the gateways next. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. Okay, now he decided to fight. I'm gonna go for the 4 Stalker timing attack and try to one-shot workers. That's the plan. He must be so weirded out by what the hell I'm doing. I mean, his build doesn't also exactly look standard. I'm not quite sure what I was in the middle of. Let me just quickly check if it's. Where can you see that? I'm not quite sure where it is, that the Windows key thing. Can I find it in time? No, I can't find it in time. God, I probably saw it, but I was too, you know, panicky trying to move forward. Now, the idea that I had for the macro game was to go for a Twilight Council and get Zealot Charge extra fast. I feel like that could be quite nice. I'm going to make another pylon here. Probably want to make at least one Zealot to stay in the choke, which I'm inevitably going to F2 out of there at some point. I need to keep a little bit of energy. Yeah, I'm gonna have enough energy for a recall in 4 seconds, so that is gonna be quite nice. I'll be able to get out of there pretty fast. Let's see if I can just target some random stuff. Okay, so my opponent's clearly scared of this attack, but it's really just a it's just a casual 4 Stalker attack, guys. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Okay, he has link speed. He could have fought there, and I would have had to recall, but he decided not to, which is quite nice for me. So I have this 1 Zealot. I guess I'll just keep making Stalkers. Maybe I'll get 1 more gas so I can actually get the Twilight upgrades at some point. I'm kinda... Maybe I shouldn't even get Blink, because that wasn't a Brute War upgrade, right? And oh, I just used my energy. I do think he's probably lost enough Zerglings already, though, because he lost a couple before fighting. No, I think I'm gonna recall them just to be safe. He might go for my 3rd base, which is something I will have to be afraid of. Let's see you guys come over here, please. That would be nice. There we go. Okay, he's gonna get in, but he doesn't have enough Zerglings for this, so I don't really mind that at all. That Zealot's actually doing a surprisingly good job in there. Yeah, I feel like we baited him on accident. Like, he really thought that he was gonna do so much damage running into the base, but instead he just lost all of his Zerglings for free. I think we baited him with the sheer amount of the non-warp gate build, guys. We have so many freaking units, he didn't expect it, and now he got absolutely fricked. We have a 3rd base already, which... my opponent might not even have, actually. I'm not 100% sure, but he might not even have that. Now, this is a Protoss base, all right, guys? That's what a Protoss base is supposed to look like. So much better than all those warp gate shenanigans, right? Like, that is a real Protoss base. Guess I'll just make a bunch of Zealots for a while. Maybe I'll try to hit a nice timing attack. Zealots take... Wait, I wonder how long these units take to build in a warp gate. Can you see it? No. Zealots take 27 seconds. I think there's definitely a significant difference. Like, they build way faster with Warp Gate. Technically, Warp Gate has no disadvantage whatsoever besides the initial cost, right? But we're going to change that, guys. We are going to make the build of builds that changes everything that people thought they knew about freaking Warp Gate. So far, he's just making a lot of links and counterattacking. Which, to be honest... that's kind of the way you play when you're an off-race Zerg. So I'm kind of thinking this guy's a random player. He's either a pure random player or... I guess I'll just hold position one of these. Or he is maybe like actually a Terran player like I thought initially that, you know, is playing random now and got Zerg. Because Zergling Run-By is one of the most powerful tools that Zerg has. So if you're not always playing Zerg and you get to play Zerg for once, that's the one thing that you're just going to try to abuse over and over and over. Which seems that he's doing maybe to a little bit of a, you know... too high extent. For some reason I couldn't find the words to say that. You guys know what I mean anyway. Gonna go for the double forge now, and now the upgrade is finished, and I'm just gonna be rallying my units across the map like a real Brute War Protoss player. Gonna get a couple more Stalkers here. I do feel like I have... Look at my supply, by the way, guys. I have 118 supply at 6 minute 30. Okay, this is actually pretty crazy, isn't it? I feel like I have an insane amount of supply for the time. And I even opened with a really fast extra gateway. You know what? I think this build could actually... You know, I wasn't a huge fan at first, but I feel like this build could actually work against Zerg for one reason. And that is if you take... oh, he's playing Mutalisk. I need to be careful for that, actually. If you take your 3rd base as fast as I did, very often the Zerg is going to be tempted... to try and hit you with like some kind of roach timing attack, which you could then hold with your crazy amount of gateway units, right? Instead of like teching up to an oracle or something as is normal. So far, guys, I'm really liking all of this. Units lost here was once again really good. Now, I do think my opponent messed up pretty hard just by being mind gained extremely hard by my 4 Stalkers. Like, you see my Stalkers move across the map. I mean, to be fair, What would you think if this is walking towards you at 3 minutes 40? Like, it's so freaking weird, you would never expect it, right? Like, it's just incredibly stupid. So he makes a couple spines, in addition to the lair, in addition to only Zerglings. I'm already up 6 workers and starting my third at this point. I'm actually really starting to like this, guys. The level of mind games plus the crazy amount of early units. Maybe this is actually a thing. I mean, we're still going to have to see. We're still relatively low in MMR, but for so far, it's looking fantastic. Let's go to game number 4. All right, game number 4 is going to be against another Zerg. Broodwar against Kornar. I thought it was going to rhyme, but then his name was a little bit weird. All right, so we disabled the app after game 2, and then after game 3, we disabled the Windows key. So if I get all tabbed again, then it's just not my fault anymore, okay, guys? I know I'm stupid, but then let's just, you know, blame it on the random circumstances. Now, let's see. Did I like last game's build? I actually think I really liked it, to be honest. Like, the fast second gateway, I know a couple of mistakes I made that I could do better. So, for example, I made 4 Stalkers, and then I didn't make units for a while. I think there always has to be 1 Zealot back up in the wall. Because, you know, his Ling Run by didn't work because I had such a crazy amount of units. But if that Ling Run by happened, well, I was, you know, freaking out on the map with my 4 Stalkers, then I'm probably just in an absolutely terrible position and I might just die on the spot, right? So that is something that we're definitely going to have to fix. So after we do the 4 Stalkers, we make a Zealot. I'm also going to make the gas a little bit earlier. I don't really think we need it, but I'm just going to try it out. Let's just try different gas timing, see how it works. Like, for example, last game, we didn't need it to make the Stalkers, but we did struggle a little bit getting the Twilight upgrades online. So maybe just getting this gas a little bit faster, and then the next gas also a little faster could make a decent difference. I also think why is there a drone here? Are we being drone scouted in a... Okay, well, that is pretty fascinating. I thought I was like the only one. I mean, if you proxy hatch, it makes sense, but since he's... That's why I said a second probe here as well. If you proxy hatch, it makes sense. Otherwise, I think you're just playing a little bit too terrified, to be honest, which I think we're going to have to, you know, assume that he is doing. Now, on this map, you can make a really nice wall, actually, because you can make another gateway over here, which is super nice. Get another one over in that gas. Guess I'll get a second pylon over here. Maybe it's the best, actually... Wait, actually, I didn't even think about this, guys, but in this challenge... For the first time in, like, I don't know when they introduced that, like that you warp in faster when you're like next to your nexus. I feel like that was probably harder to swarm or something. For the first time in 10 years, I don't actually have to strategically place my pylons. Well, not entirely true, of course, because I have this one making a wall, right? And this one is just close to the nexus. But I don't actually need it close to the nexus anymore for the purpose of warp-ins. I also don't need pylons in, you know, let's say behind my mineral line or here, because I can't warp in anyway, right? I didn't even think about that before, but that's going to make another small difference here. This pylon, for example, it should just be placed in the middle of everything so it fits as many gateways around it as possible. I don't actually need, you know, a good space to warp in or faster warp-ins or whatever. So that's, you know, that's another thing to consider here. So I'm going to go for the 4 Stalkers. I haven't found an Overlord, sadly. That's kind of my dream with this build, just to find an Overlord, because I don't know what else early Stalkers would be that good for, but I guess to find an Overlord, that would be quite nice. It is pretty funny to see how I spend like every single chrono boost on the freaking units instead of making more probes or something like that. Now, let's go ahead and try and grab this third base already. I am already making a Zealot, so I'm not going to forget it this time. I could even make a second Zealot, actually, to protect the third base that I'm going to build. I'm still on 1 gas as well. This, yeah, okay, so I timed it out. Well, it's a little risky. I was going to say I timed it out properly that this base is going to have a recall, but if I would get surrounded a little bit too early, then I wouldn't have the recall. I guess it all depends on what time, you know, the Zerg's link speed is going to finish. But all right, this looks pretty cool. This Zealot's going to go over here. Third base is already coming down. I'm going to be able to get a recall soon, and now I'm going to start making Stalkers again. Let's see. This is just going to be kind of a fake pressure in a way. Like, I don't really expect this to do a crazy amount of damage. I just want to force out a bunch of units, and then I'm gonna go, you know, recall to my base and go straight back to making probes and economy and stuff at home while my opponent waste larva on trying to defend this. So there's a couple Zerglings, not too many actually. Maybe I could even try to, you know, can I? Okay, this would be the craziest build ever. If I think I might be able to pick up that base, to be honest. I'm gonna go for it. I'm still making Stalkers at home. I think I am gonna pick up the base. It's getting really close. But he actually pushed my Stalker out of the way. Let's see. Am I gonna get it? I'm gonna get the freaking base with that attack. There's no way. I really should have made a battery before, by the way. Like, me not having a battery here is a little bit scandalous, I have to say. Okay, so we're gonna go up to 6 gateways. I guess maybe this is when I make my second gas. It'll be a good experiment. Gonna get the next few units here. Gonna make a couple more zealots as well. And this is the cool part of all of this, because I am making so many units, and he's gonna obviously try to counterattack after losing a bunch. And now we're gonna see if I can hold it with a limited amount. Oh, that's actually... I didn't even know that was going to be a surround, to be honest. That really didn't look like it. Let's see. So I'm going to chrono boost more stuff. I don't want him to get into the natural... Oh, that is a really unfortunate lag spike timing. I hope it doesn't impact the game, because if that did... Okay, thank goodness. I've had it before, that a lag spike like that impacts the game. And then all of a sudden, you know, I wouldn't have been able to wall that off, and we're in trouble. Now, I have a lot of gateways producing, so I'm still pretty confident that this is going to go pretty well for us. Like, notice how many Zerglings my opponent made. I can't believe that one Zergling was blocking everything, by the way. Notice how many Zerglings he made. I still think we're going to be completely fine here. I do have a couple more Zealots on the way as well. He's probably surprised at the amount of early Zealots that I've had. Yeah, he's trying to kill it. I guess I'll use my probe as well. Look how many freaking probes I have back at home. And we are going to be able to survive this while having a very significant eco lead. In fact... my base is already pretty much saturated here, guys. Look at this. He's going to try to surround it one more time, because I can just hold position these in the wall for the time being. I do feel like the surrounds around this area have been a little weird. Like, a lot of time it doesn't look like a surround, but then it did turn out to be a surround. So that is slightly annoying. Good thing I have a lot of more Zealots on the way. I think I'm just going to fight with these probes now, because he's busy battling the Zealots, which is going to be pretty beneficial for me, I think. Let's hold position these probes for a bit. Probably hold position... Exactly. Hold position a couple of those up there as well. He's going to try to target the Nexus once again. He could succeed. I'm going to make a battery. That's a really bad position for a battery. Make a battery over here. He could succeed at some point, so I need to be a little careful here. Let's see. Is he going to target it now? I think he's going to try to target it at some point. That's why I'm being so, yeah, aggressive with these probes. I'm going to make a couple pylons to lower the surface area on this. And now it seems like we have finally made enough units. That's going to be welded as well. We have finally made enough units from our 6 gateways to defend this. And our economy is good enough that I can start a 4th base behind this. And oh my goodness, that was quite the trade. I think the next time... when I do this strategy and I get even like a little bit of a hint that I could potentially kill the hatchery, I make the batteries instantly. Because normally my strategy is to recall those Stalkers, of course, and then it's no big deal at all, right? But in that case, where I think I might not recall the Stalkers, I think it make a lot more sense if I just get the batteries right away already. I'm just going to chrono boost all of these up. I wonder if he consciously realized that I don't have warp gate, because obviously he hasn't seen me warp in a single unit, which is weird, right? But at the same time, would you really pay attention to something like that? Like, it just seems so strange. Now at this point I can make the Twilight Castle. By the way, look at all of this after... Well, actually, like, do these units build faster or something? Look at my supply, guys. I have 110 supply after all that, after losing 4 Stalkers to kill the Nexus, after making my 4th base. Man, this actually is starting to feel a little bit crazy. Okay, so here's the Queen Walk. This is basically going to be the final all-in. So what I have to do against this is just make sure I split the Zealots decently. I can actually activate the battery overcharge here. You can see he's trying to target the Nexus, but through the battery overcharge, he is never going to kill that. Or I do need to be careful saying that, because it is going to run out at some point. Notice how he hasn't killed the battery yet. I'm going to get my Stalkers in position just to kill those Zerglings over here. And I feel like he doesn't really have any economy behind this. I didn't make a bunch more gateways, though, since I'm actually kind of getting rich now. He's going to try to kill it one more time. I think he's not going to manage, but I don't want to say it too confidently. And there we go. What does he have left? Exactly. 56 supply. No drones over here. Barely any drones on the natural, to be honest. That's what I was going to say initially, but he does have a couple. Also made the spine crawler that the other guy made as well. And my 4th base is finished with 8 probes in it, guys. I really, really like this. I think we're going to go far. This first edition of the build already looks pretty strong, and I think it's only going to get better with your guys' suggestions and my, own ideas as well. And this was an awesome first episode. I hope you guys had a fantastic time like I did. If you did, subscribe to the channel, leave your suggestions in the comments, like the video, that's the one I was forgetting, and I'll see y'all for the next one. Adios.